Hope my neighbors don't call the cops on me. Oh, this guy next door is making a murder in his garage. Well. Alright, welcome back. We are finally going to be getting this paint booth set up. Basically what I'm going to be doing is hanging these, I don't remember what size they are. I think they're 10 by 10 plastic drop cloths. I bought a pack of 6 of them from Lowe's for like 10 bucks or something. So basically I'm going to be hanging those from the ceiling and overlapping them, kind of creating a hopefully 6 foot by 10 foot room, something like that. I'm going to put a table in there and everything. To actually build the sterile room, it's just going to be a time lapse, so, and then I'll talk over it a little bit after to show you exactly what I did. Last week's video was supposed to upload at the same time, 6:30 on Thursday. I had an issue with my internet, there was an outage, so that's why that didn't come out until that Saturday night. And that was partially my fault because I really procrastinated on editing that video and uploading it. I should have uploaded it way earlier and scheduled it to release, but I didn't. So yeah, hopefully this little paint room prevents a lot of dust from getting out, a lot of overspray from getting out. It sort of keeps everything contained into this one spot and sort of keeps any foreign contaminants from getting in and settling on the paint and whatnot. Let's do this. This should be a good time. And like I said, this is going to be a quick time lapse of all the drop cloths getting put up. Yeah. Okay, here in the Dexter sterile room, I'm going to put a table in here next to the air compressor. I have a tarp that I'm going to lay on the floor just so I don't get any paint on the concrete or any overspray or anything. So yeah, this is about a 9 foot by 7 foot room. I'm overlapping all the plastic. So this should be a pretty nice little room here. Plenty of room because all I'm painting is the front and rear fender and the gas tank, so there should be plenty of room. So I'm starting with 80 grit. My little Ryobi sanding machine just broke, so I'm doing this by hand now. So I'm starting with 80 just to get the bulk of it off, and then I have some 220 grit that I'm doing the same thing with, and that's really all I need to do for this primer. It says it only really needs to be finished from 180 to 240 grit, so 220 should be more than enough. Alright guys, we're here in the paint booth. So as you can see here, I have the front fender, the rear fender, and the tank all sanded. I wiped everything down with some acetone here. I'm going to start doing all the taping off of wherever it needs to be taped off, obviously. Like here, the underside, the inside of the fenders, the wiring harnesses, crap like that. If anyone's wondering why I didn't take this down to bare metal, some spots I did just because there was dings or whatever. The primer I have is a high build primer, so you don't need to take it down to bare metal. You just need to have it at about a 220. Actually, I think it says 180 to 240 grit finish. So I pretty much got all the clear coat off, and it's at a 220 finish right now. So that should be plenty good enough for the primer I have. So hopefully it all goes well. Like I said, I've never painted before, not any auto painting or anything, so hopefully it does go well. I seem like I've done a lot of prep work to get it ready. Now it's time to start taping everything. That'll be a fun time lapse. I got everything taped up. The underside of the rear fender here still has some spots on it,
but I'm just gonna get some newspaper or something that I'm just using a whole roll of tape under it. But the tank is all good, the front fender's all good. Now, of course, I am gonna wipe this down with some acetone again because it got a little dusty. All prepped, ready for paint. All right, as you can see behind me, I got everything in here hung up, getting ready to paint. I'm getting ready to shoot this primer. I'm gonna go ahead and show the mixing process for this real quick and go over in detail what all that entails. So let's get this going. Okay, so the primer we're using is a 4:1:1 ratio. So it's gonna be 4 parts JP202 primer to 1 part JH301 hardener to 1 part JR506 reducer. So basically I'm going to take this, fill it up to, I think I'm going to start with 6 on the 4:1:1. So it's going to be 6 with the primer, and then I'm going to go to the number 6 with the hardener, and then do the number 6 with the reducer. And then mix it all together with my fancy stir stick here, and then pour it into my gun with a filter. I just wiped everything down with a tack cloth, I forgot to mention that, just to get all the last little bits of dust. Let's do this. Okay, I got the primer done. I did 3 coats. Here's the tank right here hanging up. Did 3 coats. It was a high build primer, so there is some sanding going to be coming. That's the front fender, the back fender, looking good. And then I went ahead and did my gas cap ring. So the next step is to hit this with some 400 grit sandpaper along the entire surface before doing the base coat. So that's coming up next. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to do too much filming of the actual painting just because I don't want to get any fucking paint on my lens here. So I'm trying to get a little bit here and there, but not much. So that's the reasoning for that. So I should be sanding now, cleaning again with acetone, and then I'll be jumping right into doing the black. And then after the black dries for about, what is the cure time here? So about 5 minutes between coats and about 45 minutes to an hour for pure drying. So next stop is more sanding. Yay. Sorry to cut that video off there. I wanted to keep what's going to go on in the next video together because it's not as boring as spraying and sanding primer. As you can tell, I spent a lot of time sanding, so I just time-lapse through all of it. I know it's probably not the highest quality video content for people to watch, but I'm just kind of doing it so you can see exactly what goes into painting a motorcycle. So next week's video is going to be mixing and spraying the black, going over drying times and everything for that, and then putting the new decal kit on, which I'm not looking forward to, and then mixing and spraying the clear and going over cure times for that, because that actually has a longer cure time than
the primer or the black. The primer I did 5 minutes between coats, and I did 3 total coats. The black I'm pretty sure is the same, about 5 minutes between coats. I think I'm gonna end up doing somewhere between 4 and 5 coats just to get a really deep black. And then the clear, I'd have to look at the drying time between coats. And I wanna say the cure time on that is like 8 hours total before you can start sanding and polishing. We'll get into that next week. So once the paint is done, I got a couple other performance parts I'm gonna throw on here that I'm super stoked about, to include a new clutch and new brakes. And then of course putting the whole body back together, which is not gonna take long at all. So as always, thanks for coming by, thanks for stopping, thanks for watching. Make sure to like the video, comment if you want, subscribe if you think I've earned it. So yeah, see you guys next week, Thursday, 6:30. Thanks again, see ya.